Hi, everyone, and welcome. It is so nice to see all of you here tonight. My name is Janet Goldenberg. I'm a co-founder and president of the Mass Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence, and it is such an honor and a privilege to welcome you all. I want to thank our wonderful sponsors for their support and send out a special shout out to our champions, the Mass General Hospital Center for Equity and Community Health, Everytown for Gun Safety, Leslie and Ben Inker, Jean and Ned Notice McConerty, Ann Schaffler and Stan Griffith, and Richard Goldenberg. Wait a minute, I know him. I want to thank the coalition, our staff and the board and the community council for their enormous hard work in putting this event together under really challenging circumstances. And a special thank you to Brianna Butterworth and the whole development committee for really going above and beyond. Yeah, they deserve a round of applause for sure. Of course, I want to thank our honoree, Miss Cindy Diggs, who we're so excited to spend more time with this evening, and our special guest, Boston's Poet Laureate, Portia Awaiwala. This is the 6th Peace MVP Awards, and it's a little known fact. This event itself was named by Cindy, who hosted the very first Coalition Awards event at her own Got Peace basketball tournament at the Reggie Lewis Center. So it's particularly appropriate that we're honoring her tonight. You can hear lots more about and from Cindy, from me and others as the evening goes on. So Ruth asked me if I could welcome everyone, share some housekeeping matters, share the accomplishments of the coalition over the past year, thanks to your support, and talk about why we're honoring Cindy tonight, all in 5 minutes. So those of you who know me know that I could easily talk about any one of those subjects for twice as long, but I'm going to do my best, so bear with me. So first, some housekeeping. Friendly reminder, this event is being recorded. Second, please say hello, introduce yourselves in the chat. I'm so sorry that we can't be together in person, but circumstances being what they are, we're going to make the best of it. We're using the meeting format so that people can see each other and say hello. So please use the chat. I had a lot of fun during the opening slides, looking through, seeing all the friendly faces. So thanks everyone for joining. There should be a link to the program for tonight also in the chat. You can find that there, as well as a donation link. And although fundraising is not my favorite thing, I can't deny that without it, the coalition wouldn't exist and none of our work would be possible. So thank you so much to all of you who donated tonight. And if you moved and able to contribute a little bit more during the evening, we would greatly appreciate it. We're close to meeting our goal, and we'd love to be able to report at the end of the evening that we exceeded it. But that leads to my second topic, the coalition's work last year, which only happened thanks to your support. First, literally thanks to your generosity at the last Peace MVP Awards, we were able to hire our community organizer, Angelica. Hopefully you've had a chance to see her in action, and thanks to her hard work and support, the coalition was able to host a multitude of community meetings across the Commonwealth, Brockton, Springfield, New Bedford, Pittsfield, and Boston, reaching over 2,500 people and making sure that the work of the coalition is led and informed by those most impacted by gun violence, which it must be. We also launched our ERCO website. Some of you were probably with us as we were working on the Extreme Risk Protection Order law. So it's a huge accomplishment to have that law passed, but that's not enough. People have to know about it. So thanks to our partner, Stop Handgun Violence, together with the coalition, we were able to launch a website and to work with the court system to make sure that those people who need help in a moment of crisis can get access to some support and some help. We hosted educational events on criminal justice reform, ghost guns, the intersection of racial justice and gun violence, domestic violence, advocacy skills training, and so much more. And through this educational work, reached more than 1,300 people. We also participated in over 70 legislative advocacy events, some one-on-one with key decision makers, some testifying before hundreds of folks on Zoom, collectively involving more than 2,600 individuals in this important work. And we built our organization, expanding our membership and leadership team. And there is so much more to do. So we hope you'll continue to be generous with your support. And now the best part for me, I get to talk about Miss Cindy Diggs. You're going to hear a lot more about Cindy, but if you'll indulge me, I have to share my personal appreciation. Cindy was one of the first people to join the coalition. And of course, she's been doing this work much longer than I have, and I dare say longer than most of us on the Zoom tonight. When I go back and look at my remarks from 2013, they are completely informed by the knowledge and wisdom and perspective that Cindy generously shared. She didn't have to, it wasn't her job. But those of you who know her won't be surprised by her kindness and generosity of spirit. Cindy was the first one to say to me, gun laws are a really important piece of the puzzle, but if you don't want someone to pick up a gun, there has to be something else for them to do. She pointed out that the opposite of violence isn't peace, but opportunity. And that's what she's been about from day one, supporting the businesses and schools and other organizations that provide opportunity and remove barriers in the neighborhoods most impacted by gun violence. In fact, the Got Peace basketball tournament wasn't just a terrific community building event to pair youth with adult leaders. That alone would have been amazing. But Cindy also included a job and education fair. Of course she did. And because of the wisdom Cindy shared, that she shared with us, some of the coalition's first work after securing passage of the 2014 gun bill was advocating for funding for summer youth programs and reaching out to employers to participate in the jobs fair. Cindy was also the first person to really bring home for me the role that trauma plays in perpetuating cycles of violence. As Cindy put it, hurt people hurt people. People whose trauma from gun violence goes unaddressed are living with a pain that makes them more likely to be a victim or perpetrator in this cycle of violence. To break the cycle of violence, you have to acknowledge and address the trauma. And so, in no small part because of Cindy, the coalition lobbied for funding for the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute. And when we could finally hire an executive director, we looked for one who would view this work through a trauma-informed lens. You're going to hear a lot more about Cindy's work and her support for the businesses in Nubian Square tonight and beyond. And to honor Cindy's advocacy for these businesses and the critical role they play in the community, and to live our values, we've used a part of the proceeds from this evening's event to buy gift cards from 5 of the businesses that you're going to hear more about. And we're going to raffle those off at the end of the event. Now, you have to be present to win. So stay tuned to the very end. It's going to be a lot of fun. But for now, please help me welcome Representative Liz Miranda, a powerhouse for justice in her own right, who's going to share some of her own words about Cindy. Rep. Miranda.
Good evening. It's such an honor and privilege not only to be a Massachusetts state legislator at the time where I can see the coalition blossom and grow, but also I get to actually honor someone that has been in my life since I was a teenage girl. And I'm gonna try not to cry. It's been a hard year, actually 2 years, with COVID-19 and multiple pandemics and a racial reckoning this country hasn't seen, but also because I am the only state legislator that has a sibling who's incarcerated and one of only 2. And we both happen to be Black women, 50% of the entire Black woman population in the Massachusetts State House out of 4, who's lost a sibling to gun violence. And I have a lot to say about Cindy, none of which will fit within 5 minutes. So I've prepared a few things that I want to highlight. One, I want to say to Ms. Diggs, thank you. Thank you for helping to save my young life, for encouraging me to go into youth work, for encouraging me at a time when I was in nightlife and marketing and radio to choose to do more with my talents than just produce events and show up on radio and talk gossip all day, and to use those talents to really engage in my community and make it a better place. I want to say that I'm proud of you, and this award is long overdue. I remember being a teenage girl and learning about a woman who was the one woman in an industry that was male dominated, who was using her power and her platform and her resources to give back to the community in a long way. I remember when you founded all these things like Got Peace, basketball tournament, but you were also doing events in a very unique way to bring the community together, to not only highlight the talent that was in our community, but through you, I got to see myself. I got to see myself as a young Black woman and know that anything that I put my mind to could be possible. And you saved a lot of lives, Miss Cindy Diggs, not only through your events and through your programming or through your marketing, but because you were a phenomenal youth worker all the way at the Whittier Street Health Center. When I was in the South End Lower Roxbury Youth Workers Alliance as a freshman coming out of college, working in a youth agency, not sure what I would do, I looked to you. I look to you to see the way that you loved on young people, that you loved community, and that you made the city of Boston a better place. You trained hundreds of youth workers and young people to not only participate in organizations like Whittier Street in my town and all over the South End and Roxbury, but to make sure that they knew that they had an obligation and a responsibility and the privilege to give back to the same communities that they called their own. And so this young girl from Dudley Street, and I'm still young, 41, rocking it out, wants to say to that young woman from Mission Hill to say that there would be no coalition, there would be no organizations where survivor moms who started things like Ruth Rollins and Tina Cherry, if it wasn't for you in the 80s and in the 90s saying that another world, a more peaceful world, a more whole world was possible without your interventions, your innovation, and your creation. And so I have thought a lot about you and in my work, because in Massachusetts, we love to believe that we're a very safe Commonwealth, because when you look at the data, it says that we have the lowest number of gun deaths in the nation. We have very tough gun laws. But what we know that is true, because we're from Mission Hill and Dudley Street, is that for the families like my own that lost my brother Michael in 2017, which was the catalyst for why I ran for office in the first place. And I'm the same girl that lost my friend Michael Tavares in my freshman year while I was at Wellesley. Then you knew me then, that you know me now, is that communities like ours and families like ours have been suffering for a very long time because people are not listening, not paying attention, and not understanding that one gun death or one violent death is too much. And particularly if it's happening over and over again in our community. So lastly, I'll say this. I'm not the only person that loves you. And I'm not the only person that wanted to say congratulations. And in fact, this award is not enough. You are a national and citywide treasure, and you should be getting an award every day of your life for all the lives of people you've inspired, all the lives of people you've actually saved, and all of the lives of the people that you may see themselves and were able to hear themselves in a sea of silence when people were not paying attention to us. So, sister, mentor, I want to say thank you, because you've been helping me heal for a very long time. And this award is more about your work that you will continue to do than the work that you've already done. So I want to say ashe, thank you, obrigado. And I'm going to take it away for a very powerful video. And I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to cry on these things. But I just want to say that when Black women are leading in this work, when we are unrecognized and unsupported for so many years of our work, and we keep going and keep doing and keep giving, that I want to thank the coalition sincerely, because you got it right. You got it right. You got it right on time. So thank you. Congratulations. I love you. This is a hug from Dudley Street all the way to wherever you are and wherever everyone else is. And I hope everyone has a great evening. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Toy, and I am the founder and executive director of Dee Dee's Cry Suicide Prevention and Family Support. And I am here to congratulate Cindy Diggs on a well-deserved award. Thank you for all that you do in the community. You are a powerhouse, you are a light, and you are somebody who I look up to. You are a hero of mine. Again, congratulations and well-deserved.
I had the pleasure of meeting Cindy in 1995 when she was organizing UMMF, which was her baby, her brainchild. And that was an organization that Cindy brilliantly put together, utilizing music to connect the community. In other words, gang members, former gang members, a lot of different rivals that had took place in the city of Boston at that time. She brilliantly brought all of these people together under one umbrella of love, which was music. From then on, she's gone on to coordinate the Peace Boston movement. I just love Cindy so much. She's definitely been a mentor to me, a friend, a confidant, somebody that I could trust, somebody that I could talk to. And for so many people like myself who have survived the violence in the city of Boston, she's always been there as a shoulder to cry on. So I admire the sister, and I'm really, really happy that she's getting this award. Congratulations, Cindy Diggs. I love you, I respect you, I admire you, and I honor you.
Congratulations, Cindy, on the Peace MVP Award. Thank you for all you've done for the city of Boston and beyond, bringing people together for this movement towards peace. You really are the real MVP, Cindy. We love you.
Two minutes to say how much I love Cindy Diggs. Well, peace, Cindy. I met Cindy in 1995, a trailblazer, an inspiration, and a friend. Those are some of the words I could use to describe my friend Cindy Diggs. I wasn't preparing a monologue, and Cindy knows I'm superbly long-winded, but I'll just say that Cindy Diggs started off as somebody that I looked up to, somebody who in the earlier parts of my own career gave me a lot of great advice and a lot of great aspirations. That was 1995. On June 15th, 1996, Cindy became something else. Cindy became a shoulder to cry on. Cindy became, for me, a friend. Because on the day before Father's Day in 1996, my father was gunned down in Grove Hall. To this day, it's an unsolved crime. It's a cold case for the Boston Police Department, but it's never been anything more than a very hot topic in my life. Cindy became a confidant, as I said, a shoulder to cry on. And when I moved to New York 6 months later, that friendship just continued to grow. In March 24th, 1997, at a point where I refused to go back to Boston, even for a visit, for fear of memories and retribution, Cindy organized at Bob the Chef's my 25th birthday party, which was a really dope situation. All the rappers from Boston came together and basically said, brother, it's okay. We know that you're hurting, but we love you. And I never forgot that. In all the years that I've been in New York City since, another pivotal date in 2007 was the day that I was released from Attica. Yes, unfortunately, I lost my way and I ended up going to prison for 2.5 years. And when I got out and made my first trip to Boston to visit, Cindy was one of the first persons that I just had to see. And I wasn't sure what I would get from her. Would I get that shaking of the head? Would I get that shaking of the fist? No, what I received when I got to Logan Airport and ventured into Boston to see Cindy was a hug. And that's what I needed. After 2.5 years in state prison, after, at that point, nearly 11 years of being without my father, I didn't need a scowl. I didn't need a fist shake. I needed a hug, and that's what she gave me. To this day, she's always been a person that I've considered a friend, a mentor, and an inspiration. She's done great things since I met her in 1995, and I'm always really focused on doing the best that I can do. And one of those reasons is because I always want to make Cindy proud. It's such an honor for me to even be a part of this program. I'm wearing my shirt, Ruth. And of course, the fact that the Massachusetts Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence, which should probably be Cindy's extended middle name, is honoring her. It's nothing more than an absolute treasure for me, an honor for me to be a part of this program. But I did want to share a picture that I think really symbolizes what this year has been like for Cindy, and I think it's very important. So as the Masters of Ceremony for the Roxbury Unity Parade, I was really, truly honored this year when I was able to present Cindy Diggs with an award that was more than fitting for her. So this has been her year, it seems. This is, of course, a photo of her at the Roxbury Unity Parade in July with Mayor Kim Janey. And as always, I don't know exactly what she's saying in this specific shot, but I'm sure what she's saying is basically a montage of love, of triumph, of strength, and of unity. So thank you, Cindy Diggs, for years of being a symbol of peace, love, and unity, not just for me, but for so many others. And on behalf of everybody I know that loves you, congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruth Saccharin, and I am honored to say that I am the Executive Director of the Massachusetts Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence. And I am also very honored to be sitting here with Cindy Diggs, whom we love.
Thank you.
Before we get on with talking more about Cindy and her work, we have a few presentations that we would like to make. First, on behalf of all of us at the Coalition, we award you, Cindy, the Peace MVP for 2021. And what this says, if you cannot see it, is it's presented to Cindy Diggs, the Peace Commissioner, for moving mountains and bringing peace to our communities. This is for you.
So beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. Oh, I love this. Peace MVP.
But wait, there's more.
What?
We also have a citation from your representative, Representative Nika Elugardo, who is honoring this occasion. Let me turn it around so everyone can see. Oh, no, I went the wrong way. And the citation says that the House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Cindy Diggs in recognition of outstanding work preventing gun violence and promoting peace and economic development in Boston neighborhoods. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses hope for the future, good fortune, and continued success in all endeavors.
Oh my God.
This is for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nika. Oh, this is such a blessing. I love this. Thank you.
And we have one more thing to give, which is just to bring some color and beauty and sunshine into your world.
Look, everyone. So beautiful. Thank you. And it has orange flowers, everyone. Hey. I love it. Thank you so much, Ruth.
So when we had talked about doing this event, and obviously we were going to be giving the award to Cindy, and she and I talked about how we would best highlight her and honor her. What she said to me was, I don't know that I want to give a speech, which is fine. So instead, what we decided to do was a little bit of a Q&A so the two of us could have a conversation about Cindy and her work, so that you could learn more and actually be a part of the conversation.
Yeah.
So for the next few minutes, you will be joining us for some back and forth and some conversation and discussion about who Cindy is in the world, so that you will all get to learn a little bit more about why we love her so much. So going back in history, you are called the Peace Commissioner and you are the founder of Peace Boston. And I would love it if you could share with everyone a little bit more about what Peace Boston is about, the work that you've done with that organization, and where you see that work going.
Sure. So as Carrie mentioned, I used to run a hip hop organization back in the 90s. And 10 years later, December 21st, 2005, a few of my friends decided to put together a vigil in Codman Square to support a friend of ours, Antonio Ansaldi, who was dealing with some things with his store and a product that they were selling. And so we decided that we were going to have the closing ceremony of the Survivors of Homicide Victims Awareness Month with the Peace Institute, have it end there to support his business. And there were a number of youth there and youth workers and just a lot of people from the community there as well. And we thought it was going to be a one-day event and it turned into a 15-year movement. So because that was at the beginning of the surge of youth violence, we knew that something had to be done. And so I created the concept of a t-shirt called Start Peace, and that just went wildfire. We had no idea what it was going to do. We had no direction. We didn't have any plan to create any type of anything out of that. And so I helped to produce a lot of events, which I now know were alternatives to violence for young people and for adults as well, because I had worked so much for the hip hop community back in the 90s. And I knew that I could do the same for young people, because in the 90s, providing stages for those young men who, you know, sold drugs or carried guns, they had something to look forward to. So we did the same with young people. I called together my hip hop family. We produced an album, Peace in the Streets album. And you heard mention of the Got Peace basketball tournament, which we had young people play against adults. And that was really a lot of fun. And the adults hated me for that because they lost every year. And, you know, we did a number of events to raise money for youth programming. We weren't a nonprofit. We didn't have any way to get money. So we sold the Start Peace t-shirts. And then I started to put on other events, which included the Mass Coalition, like the 100 Slices, the upscale bake sale. And we had a Mardi Gras masquerade ball in which Ayanna Presley and Tito Jackson, they were city councilors at the time. They were the king and queen of the Mardi Gras. And we just kept doing things like that. And I kept being called out to speak at different places, at schools, churches, what have you, anywhere. And I didn't do it by myself. There were a lot of people involved. It was a hip hop peace movement. So we had members of the hip hop community involved, and we had young people involved, youth workers. Shout out to the South End Lower Roxbury Youth Workers Alliance. We were big time back then. And we just sent a message that was something different from what other people were hearing, because it was coming from us. It was coming from people in the street. And those guys who were a part of the problem became a part of the solution.
That's really powerful. And I'm struck by you talking about the fact that this was meant to be a one-time event and it became a 15-year movement.
Yeah.
Which also I think speaks to the power of your leadership and how you bring folks together. And I suspect that's why people refer to you as the Peace Commissioner.
Yeah, it is. So actually, I have a story behind that. I had to call Tina Sherry and find out, because she's the one who dubbed me the Peace Commissioner. And she said it's because I kept putting forth this message of peace whenever all of these horrible things were happening, by having the Got Peace basketball tournament and asking the bakers, which the upscale bake sale was a cupcake battle, for them to create a cake that tasted like peace. And, you know, we wore purple in a time where no one was wearing that color. We had 1,000 people wearing our shirts. And everywhere we went, we just kept doing those kind of things. And I was the one to call the masses together. And she said that it would take a commissioner to be able to do that. So it caught like wildfire. Her staff still calls me the commissioner, and I love it. I mean, I just, oh, there she is. A taste of peace. Shout out to Tina. She's been my mentor since 2003 when we first met her, due to a young person being killed when I was the wellness manager at Whittier Street. And we had no idea what to do, and she had all of the answers. And I know that, having been an activist since I was 14 years old, I really had never heard of the Peace Institute before. And I felt like my big mouth and my connections in the hood could help to spread the message even further. So I've been there with her for many years through all of the changes, all the offices, and, you know, we'll be celebrating with them tomorrow also. So this is full circle.
It's amazing.
It's full circle.
And it really speaks to the power of partnerships and the power of working together, and how this work is so impactful, particularly when we come together in these ways, which is really what the coalition is about. And I would love it if you could talk just for a moment about some of your history with the coalition and why you got involved with the coalition back in the day.
Sure. So I can see on the site that my good friend Pam Julian, she was the person that invited me to one of the meetings back in those earlier days. And she told me about this organization. I went, I sat in on the meeting. She was the president of the League of Women Voters at the time. And I had just started the Peace Collaborative, which was 12 organizations that came together to help to create these events for young people collectively. And when I saw the group of people gathered at the table, none of them looked like me at the coalition, but you guys were there and you were very serious about helping the community to address gun violence. I never thought about advocacy, and it was something that you guys concentrated on. I know that you weren't a member at that time back in 2013. And I didn't realize that I was there at the beginning. I thought you guys had been doing it for a long time. Shout out to Janet and Ann and John Gregg and all of those original members, Cindy Rowe, and I don't want to forget anybody, but you know, we were squeezed into a little conference room and there were 35 organizations at that time. And just to see a different perspective, at that time, we were fighting to get the gun reform bill into law. And I helped to gather a peace panel to talk to those representatives about this. And it was tough sitting next to those people that are pro-guns and just listening to their beliefs and watching the representatives not really care about what we had to say. We were just there in their way. So we go a long way back. And shout out to Cindy Rowe. I see you're here too also. Yeah, so we did a lot of great work back then. And yes, the Peace MVP did come out of one of those basketball tournaments. And I remember sitting in the office of Speaker DeLeo with the coalition and just being able to talk to him about why we believe that that law needed to come into place. And, you know, being a part of all of that, it was totally different from what I had been involved with in the past, because a lot of times we have community meetings and we get stuck on the problem. And I really needed to be able to start to think about the solutions, because I know that I had been a part of some of the solutions with the youth workers, and we needed to strengthen our work by having people who cared about this as much as we did.
So I think folks can tell or see that Cindy's really been a part of the fabric of the coalition since the beginning. You've seen us through our growth and through our development. You've been you provided consultation to us and support in so many ways. She is also part of our leadership team now too. So this really has come full circle from the beginning to now, this new leadership team that we've put together, and you're such a big part of that effort, and we so appreciate that. I do want to get at one other quick question before we move on to some more videos and share some more information. You've been doing a tremendous amount of work during the pandemic to ensure that locally owned businesses in Nubian Square stay solvent and healthy and robust and stay open. And that work is critically important. And we also recognize at the coalition that economic empowerment is absolutely tied to violence prevention. I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little bit more, but I would love it if you could give a quick snapshot to the folks who are listening about some of the work that you've been doing with the businesses in Nubian Square.
Sure. So for the past year and a half, I've been concentrated in that area, and it wasn't because it was a part of my job. I just knew that when I was an administrative coordinator at Mass General Hospital, that we were working on the feeding the front lines efforts. And I realized that there weren't any Black-owned restaurants involved. And I saw some postings on Facebook that talked about how the Black-owned restaurants were really suffering. So I reached out to a couple of those restaurants, and we set up a meeting, and I was able to get one of the restaurants involved in those feeding the frontline efforts. And then after that, I put together 2 staycation cruises in the area with the doctors and with the help of the Mass General folks that worked in the diversity office and the equity and inclusion office. And we invited doctors and nurses to go there to support the businesses. And because it was at the time of George Floyd's death, we also talked about racism. So they came out, they supported the businesses, they had lunch, they stopped in the Final Touch boutique, and they helped to keep those stores doors open. And then the surge happened, and we couldn't have the docs there anymore because they got really busy. So all summer long through Christmas, I invited my friends every Saturday. I need 20 of my friends to come and spend $20 in any of these 4 stores that we're supporting. And it worked, you know, and I had friends that set up their pop-up shops. They had customers that had never been to that area, and they came and they bought a water or whatever. All of that stuff helped to keep those businesses open. And so now it's part of my job description to support those businesses in my new role at Mass General. And I think that that is something that is definitely tied in with violence prevention, because there are a lot of people that are unemployed, and unemployed people don't always make the right decisions because they're trying to fight for their families.
Yeah, and just a few things to say. One is I'm in the business of when Cindy Diggs tells me to do something, I just do it. So when you said come support these businesses, absolutely.
Yeah, you were there too this summer.
And it was powerful. And it was powerful to see folks coming out to support these businesses, because we do know that economic empowerment is connected to violence prevention. Communities need to have resources to be safe and well in order for folks to be safe and well in those communities. And a big part of that are the local businesses. So, you know, this is a part of our work. This is work that we will be doing together. And it's something that we at the coalition are committed to continuing to do with you.
Awesome.
So, and we'll learn a little bit more about some of the businesses that Cindy has been supporting in a moment. And you'll see more of Cindy in a little bit. But I hope this gives everyone a snapshot of Cindy, who is a powerful activist, a mover of mountains, and a bringer of peace to our communities. And I just want to say again, we are so honored to be honoring you this evening.
Thank you so much. Hold on.
She's going to show the award again.
I did it, Mom.
And so now we're going to segue to a video. We're going to get to learn more about some of the businesses that Cindy has been supporting. I do want to shout out Soleil, just because we weren't able to get a video clip with Soleil, but that is also one of the businesses that we're holding tonight. So we're going to switch to a video now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Danny Hardaway. I am one of the owners of Final Touch. Final Touch has been around since 2005. We had 4 stores at one time, but now we're down to 1. And the clothes that you're going to see inside of our store, we deal with up-and-coming designers, and we handpick our fashion. So we try to get quality fabrics, okay, which is called like a tier 1 or tier 2, which is a top quality. And I really, not myself, but the whole family travels around a lot. We go to like LA, New York, Miami, Atlanta, different places where we can meet people, right, and bring in their fashions. And we try to limit it to like 3 of a kind. And the reason we do that, because we don't want everybody to have the same thing that you wear. Come on down to Final Touch.
We opened in 2015 in a way to like really create more gathering spaces in this square, which is in dire need. Connect, gather, create, and plan and execute like things for our neighborhood. Basically, that was like the reason for this space. When COVID-19 hit, it was getting together was like it really decimated our business. That time basically took away like about 80-90% of the people who were here. It's just like we could stop by for 5 minutes and just buy something quickly from one of the businesses, buy a cup of coffee, but like you just like going in and out creates activity, and those activities just like create positiveness. That's what we want.
My name is Leonard, and I'm part owner along with my wife,
Clarissa.
It's a good thing to have this here for the people who live in this community and the types of books that we have that a lot of other bookstores just, they don't carry. One of the biggest joys is when you see young folk come in here and they're like, oh, shoot, all these books. The books have people on them or characters that look like them. So to be able to have that and to have the stories that mirror a lot of our different lives on our shelves, and we're able to offer it is really special.
Yes, we are a bookstore, but we are in the community. We are for the community, and it's not just about selling books. It's about that community, that togetherness.
Everyone has always been a member of the community, wants to build it around the people themselves. So our exhibition, the art on the walls, the beer, the wine that we offer, everything continues to reflect back to the best of themselves. In a nutshell, our mission is passion for food and the power of community.
And next, we're going to be hearing from Angelica.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Angelica Fonts, and I'm the community organizer for the coalition. And I'm so glad to be here tonight with you all, honoring Cindy Diggs. The year 2020 will be remembered as a year of great upheaval in the United States, with so many lives and communities upended by the intersecting crises of the COVID-19 pandemic and systemic racism. Communities of color nationwide have been disproportionately affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, and these same communities have reflected similar rates of gun violence. When analyzed through a public health lens, we find that both the pandemic and gun homicide reflect the intensity this country's longstanding racial inequalities in healthcare, housing, education, exposure to environmental hazards, and more. With resources exacerbated, these root causes call attention to the need of investing in communities now more than ever. When individuals and communities have access to the resources they need to be safe and well in society, that in itself is violence prevention. Through my findings, especially through this year, I have seen that community members are concerned about the rising rates of gun violence, but also the overall well-being of their communities. As the community organizer for the coalition, I've had the opportunity to listen to folks such as Cindy Diggs and countless other community members across the Commonwealth as they share their stories, stressing the importance of investing in and uplifting their own communities and their citizens. The businesses we have curated this evening are only a small fraction of the local businesses across the Commonwealth that hold value and meaning in their communities. Locally owned businesses are often culturally sensitive sanctuaries or safe spaces that are viewed as integral to the livelihood of a city or a town. When we provide support to these structures, we allow more opportunities for growth and sustainability. We foster more access to methods for expression for the youth, community members, such as the arts, sports, and other recreational activities. This intersection of community and well-being has pushed the coalition to create a community council in order to receive vital feedback and consultation to continue our efforts. This council is composed of individuals who identify as survivors, frontline workers, and/or advocates who have taken a stand against gun violence for decades. We value allowing survivors and those most impacted to lead conversations pertaining to gun violence prevention and trauma-informed advocacy. With that, I would like to introduce our Community Council Co-Chair, Lawrence Stevenson.
Hey y'all, good to see everybody today. Yeah, I wish I could be just in person so I could hug y'all and we can hang out. Shout out to my mom who's somewhere on here, and also my other moms in community who are just on here. So good to see y'all today. I'm Lawrence Stevenson. I am a survivor support coordinator at the Louis D. Brown Peace Institute. I'm also one of the co-chairs of the Community Council here at the Coalition. But last but not least, I bring myself here as a survivor. When survivors of homicide lose their loved ones to gun violence, the media will often write whatever they want about our loved ones. This is one example, one of the many examples of how Black and Brown people in communities impacted by gun violence are too often having their narrative stolen. As such, it is a celebration whenever someone in our community takes back their narrative, are the storytellers of their own journeys. So today, I'm proud to introduce one of my favorite storytellers and poets. It is also full circle to be introducing this poet and spotlighting Haley House at the same time in the same event, because the first time I saw this poet was when she was poeming at the House Slam at the Haley House. And so without further ado, I want to introduce our poet laureate, Boston Poet Laureate, Portia Owayiwala, Black, feminist, poet, dyke, hip hop feminist, womanist. Portia is a native of Chicago who now resides in Boston. Owayiwala is a writer, performer, educator, and a curator who uses Afrofuturism and surrealism to examine historical and current issues in Black, woman, and queer diasporas. She is an individual World Poetry Slam champion and an artistic curator at Mass Leap, a literary youth organizer. Owayiwala is an MFA candidate at Emerson College. Portia Owayiwala is an author of I Shimmer Sometimes Too, which I personally own, 2 forthcoming with Button Poetry, and is the current Boston Poet Laureate. So please give us a round of applause for Portia. Thank you for being here with us today. It's good to see you.
Thank you for that introduction. I feel super honored, excited, blessed, sanctified to be here and to be celebrating peace and the Commissioner of Peace. I feel exceptionally just grateful. So I'm going to do a couple of poems. The first I'm thinking of in conversation with using our mouths as opposed to weaponry. And it's called An Ode to My Mouth. Mouth, a basket. Mouth, give, give, give. Mouth, eager. Mouth, silent. Mouth, a river. A lake, say, give me what mine is. Mouth, a house.
House got a family of 8 who like to stay up late and talk, mouth play dominoes, mouth curse, mouth pray, mouth come from my mama mouth and my mama mouth big. Mama mouth don't stop moving. Mama mouth run off, mouth hungry, got teeth, mouth eat, mouth black, mouth dark. It got a regurgitating history, mouth heard too much. Now it don't know how to shut itself, mouth wide, mouth a train, mouth coming for who coming, mouth say you can't have all this gutter, all this non-publishable, mouth say so, say so, say so, say so, mouth say salt, mouth cool, mouth got cool words falling out itself and landing in between other people's cheeks, mouth on fleek, mouth hip, mouth finesse, $1,000,000 mouth. Mind join, stay outside my mouth. Mouth, dig you a place to lay. Mouth, bury you, sweet sugar cane. Mouth, hold you tight. Wrap you around its smut. Mouth, squeeze. Mouth, fat hole. Swallow you. And I always like to say I'm still working on the ending on that one. But yeah, just thinking about the use of storytelling to retell, to reimagine, to rethink acts of violence. I think I look a lot at historical violence. But this next poem in particular is about a specific kind of violence that feels like it's done to women and femme-identified folks. It is for 2 people in particular. Jasmine Eland, who was a young woman who was assaulted in the club in 2019 in Atlanta, and Jazzy Courier, who went to the club here in Boston in 2019, February 24th, and was kidnapped and murdered. And I'm just thinking about, one, the right to dance, and also dance as a antithesis to violence, right? Like joy as the answer. So this is called Anthem for the Right to Dance, and it is for Jasmine Elan and Jazzy Courier. Come, best friend, best lover, best self we've gotten to last us the whole day long. Tonight, we jerk and grind until our feet reverses the rotation of Earth. Tonight, we shake and shimmy until the gyration causes the sun to rise. Tonight, we let loose the image someone else dressed us in. Fix up our finest fit, pajamas with the feet, jeans gripping the hips. We press threats, yell to us unto a striped suit, wear the dress, provoking the mirror to shudder, smile, the shards, a grin in the mouth. Classrooms and courtrooms declare a hold on who we are and what we wear. So tonight, we dance. Our families have sought to reshape us more favored, so we sweat and juke to the beat. Some men deem us not pretty or just pretty enough, and power silences us into ghosts. Bedrooms, boardrooms, bathrooms label a purpose and place for our bodies. So tonight, we leave our bodies on the dance floor. Tonight, we dance our bodies asway. Tonight, we dance so hard, no one can mistake our bodies as not our own. Twerk battle, dagger lily, glitter love, wobble winch, down low dip, bottle of barrel, hands raised to erupt a ceiling glass, slow rhyme uprise. Kitchen swinging salsa, no surrender siren. Tonight, we samba to the club, strangle the myth of our death. Tonight, we celebrate. We birth ourselves live. Tonight, we arm in arm a swarm of women behind the backbone of us all. Tonight, we war cry, we tap step, spin assault into songs blare, bust bodies into freedom ode, and dance and dance and dance. And this will be my last poem and I wasn't sure. I was debating doing another dance poem. Not that I dance, but that I really believe in it as a tool of joy. But I think I was just so moved about what folks had to say about Cindy Diggs, our commissioner of peace, that I decided to do this poem. And it just seems like there is so much, mentorship. And it made me think of my first mentor. And Lawrence talked about this a lot, but there's so many mothers here. So this poem is about my mother, and it is inspired. This performance is inspired by Cindy Diggs. My mother is a drinking gourd. She is a runaway slave along a shore. My mother is a still river. Her folks from Mississippi, but she bred Black South Side of Chicago in the 70s. My mother is Great Migration. She got a gambler for a father and a rifle for a mother. My mother is associate's degree in early childhood education. It's 3 credits short from a BA. It's food stuck in vending machine. My mama still ain't got what she paid for. It's all curse out the clerk at the cashier counter. It's all, I guess y'all are gonna have to work something out because I'm not about to pay for that. My mother is the difference between ghetto and hood. Is a rumor sale and not a thrift store. My mother is a Christian. Is church going. Is leave church early. Don't sing in the choir no more because things seem shady behind the pulpit. My mother is 2 jobs in an empty piggy bank. It's Section 8 for retirement plan. It's no savings account, no trust fund, no money to the 15th of the month. My mother is machete for speech. It's too sharp to be killed or followed. My mother's a blade in a back pocket. Is a loud joke in a jukebox. Haha, my mother's an oxymoron. Is a homophobe with a strap on for a daughter. My mother is the strong Black woman behind every disappearing, vanishing, missing, murdered, dead Black man. My mother is an open casket. Is meant to hold bodies. Is a vacant lot next to a boarded up home. My mother is home. Is sanctuary. Is God. Is how Black don't crack. My mother's spine don't bend. My mother is still. My mother is still a river. Rushing. Thank you all so much. And congratulations again, Cindy.
So powerful.
I just want to take a moment and just appreciate. And I'm seeing wow, and I'm seeing finger snaps, and I'm feeling deep appreciation. Portia, thank you. We appreciate you so much. Before we end tonight, there's just a few other things that I want to be able to share with all of you. First, I want to thank Portia. I want to thank Representative Liz Miranda. I want to thank Carrie D. Singleton. I want to thank Janet. I want to thank Angelica. And I want to thank Lawrence and everyone who participated in making this event happen. I want to thank the sponsors who made this possible. And I just want to be thankful for just a moment before we continue. Friends, I am someone who believes in the power of words and the language we choose, which is why it was so powerful to have Portia share her words with us tonight. But when I try to think of the right words to describe all that has happened since our last Peace MVP Awards, when we gathered to honor Chaplain Clementina Sherry, I really struggled to capture any words that felt sufficient. What is clear to me is that we collectively have held an incredible amount of everything from grief, trauma, and overwhelming uncertainty, but also an embrace of new ways to create community and connection. We hold the extreme complexities of our society's many challenges, along with the simple joys of finally translating relationships built on Zoom to face-to-face interactions, sometimes with real-life hugs. This is one of the many reasons why it felt so meaningful to be honoring Cindy this year. Anyone who knows Cindy also knows that she is a woman who holds a tremendous amount. Everything from her love for her community, to a passion for change, to a determination to keep going and striving. And if you have attended any event she has produced, you also know that she holds an incredible amount of detail and ability to harness the energy of others towards a common good. She is a force of nature. And as we said on her award, she is a mover of mountains. And I know I can speak for all of us at the coalition when I say that we hold a great deal of love for her. Cindy, we love you, we respect you, and we celebrate you.
Thank you so much.
And as we celebrate Cindy, we also want to honor the work that she has done during the pandemic with many of the businesses in Nubian Square. This work of supporting local economies is also the work of gun violence prevention. If we want to move the needle on gun violence in the Commonwealth, we have to hold multiple approaches and complex solutions, including the work of economic empowerment. Supporting locally owned businesses is critical to the overall health and wellness of our communities. Because when communities have the resources they need to thrive, rates of violence decrease. I am grateful to have spent much more time over the past year and a half at Nubian Square businesses. Because as I mentioned, when Cindy tells me to show up someplace, I just do that. Whether it be Soleil, Frugal Bookstore, Dudley Cafe, Final Touch Boutique, or Haley House Cafe, they are all much more than just the products they sell. They are spaces to gather, to learn, share ideas, feel beautiful, and break bread together. And of course, places of employment for community members. We need for those businesses to not just remain open, but to flourish. Because when those businesses flourish, so does the health and wellness of the communities they serve. This brings me to what this year has held for all of us at the coalition. It has been a year of great challenge, as we have seen the pandemic further exacerbate root causes of violence, such as racial and economic disparity. We have seen rising rates of gun violence in cities across the country. We have also seen a high rate of gun purchasing, making us worry about the potential impact on everything from firearm suicide to domestic violence homicides. But along with all of this, we have seen a great deal of change, progress, energy, and clarity on our work. We have expanded our staff to 3 full-time positions and an intern. Emily, Angelica, and Christian, you are our beating heart, our movers and shakers, and I appreciate you so very much. We have developed a leadership team that represents our 115 member organizations. I am so grateful to be in this work with our board and community council, some of whom you have met tonight and all of whom are the backbone of this organization. It has been a year of really settling into our holistic approach to gun violence prevention, which includes advocacy, public education and awareness, coalition building, and community organizing. Holding and embracing all of those components has made our overall work and our impact in the Commonwealth stronger. We also hold hope for the future. We have built a strong and durable foundation for the coalition, and we are clear about how we want to build on it. And all of you, our coalition community, can help us with that building. Janet spoke earlier about our education and awareness work that is critical to shifting the culture around violence in our society. These conversations not only change minds and hearts, but bring people together in coalition and community to learn and work towards change. And we want to do more. Our goal is to further expand our staffing capacity, adding an educator who will bring even more people into this critical conversation. Something that's really special about the work of the coalition is the way that we have engaged in building that coalition, connecting with and learning from our leaders and our member organizations. An educator would bring that learning to legislators, decision makers, and the broader public, and that would be incredibly powerful. I will share with you that Cindy and I are already dreaming about doing another program that will continue to highlight the connection between violence prevention and economic empowerment. So stay tuned for more details on that. In the meantime, I hope you will help us make our dream a reality. A donation to the coalition will support not just our current programming, but allow us to build towards that expansion. It will help us hold even more as we look toward a future where every one of us in every zip code lives free from the threat of gun violence. And I hope you will support that vision. But for now, we want to give something back to you, which is to tell you the winners of our raffle. As we mentioned before, we have 5 businesses in Nubian Square, and we will be raffling off a gift card for all of those businesses. So first, winning the gift card for, drum roll please, winning the gift card for Soleil would be my friend and neighbor, Hema Sarang-Saminsky. Next, for Final Touch Boutique will be Nina Robinson. For Frugal Bookstore, Joanne Quas. For Dudley Cafe, Pacey Foster. And for Haley House, Damian Leach. We will make sure to get in touch with all of you to make sure you get your raffle gifts and these gift cards so you can help us with supporting these amazing Nubian Square businesses. Before we end, I know that Cindy had a quick announcement, and then just one other thing that I want to share with you. And then we have a quick video about the work of Peace Boston. But Cindy, I know you wanted to make an announcement.
So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, particularly the opening speeches. Janet, my friend, and Liz Miranda, my mentee, having me cry. I have a box of Kleenex sitting right here. And Kerry, we go so far back. But I also want to say to everyone on here that knows me, with anything that I do, there's always marching orders. So in order for you to help me to continue with this work, I really need folks to come out and support those businesses. And we are actually going to be putting together a huge event on October 9th. It's the Honk Festival, which you normally see in Somerville, is going to take place right in Nubian Square. We're bringing in New Orleans style marching bands, and the restaurants are going to serve a New Orleans style menu. They're going to be taught by chefs from New Orleans, and you get to support those businesses. And to top it off, like Janet said, of course I have something else on the side. I've also put together a health festival with people from Brigham and Women's Hospital, Mass General Hospital, Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, as well as Mass General Brigham. So please come out and support that on October 9th from 12 to 4.
Amazing. And folks should come to support the event because it's going to be amazing, and because you will also get to experience a Cindy Diggs event, and everyone should experience a Cindy Diggs event.
It's been a long time.
Before we end for the evening, I just want to say another word of thanks to Cindy for all of her powerful work. Again, to our sponsors, to our leadership team. Again, you make up the backbone of our organization, to our staff. But I also want to thank every one of you that has been with us this evening. As we celebrate the mountain mover that is Cindy Diggs, and we are inspired by the poetry of Portia, we also celebrate and we are inspired by all of you who are with us tonight. Our strength as a coalition is in this community we have put together. You are all a part of that community. And I personally am so grateful to all of you for being a part of this amazing community. We could not do this work without your support. And I mean that in so many ways, your positive energy, your words of support, the ways that you hold us in doing this incredibly important work. And I thank each and every one of you for being with us tonight. I hope you have a wonderful evening. So glad that you chose to spend time with us. And we look forward to continuing the conversation with all of you around how we can end gun violence for every person in every zip code in the Commonwealth. Thank you.
All right, so let's get into it right now. This song is taking the streets by storm right now, and it's good because we need this at this moment. Everyone hooked up for this song. Big Red, Frankie Wainwright, Acrobatic is on it, Bree, Amir, all of Boston's biggest artists. Check it out. If it's a big name in Boston, it's on this song right here, The Best I Got. Boston masterpiece. Here we go.
We arise, can't fall. Far too long on the floor, man, I crawl. Unite my people and break down the walls. Over this money, shh. In the hood, people die over some dummies. Shh. See some brothers let off their honey in the hip, and now they all torn up because they ain't even this shit. Ended up in jail on that. 22 locked down with damn near clue. And the work getting around your little shorties do. But see what make it so bad, the father isn't used to. Now you wanna kill a dude, something I don't understand. It's how you claiming the thug, you ain't no gunning man. Cause when the niggas let off, you did the running man. And now you running around town like you the son of Sam. Cause you push a couple grand, but live your life, daddy. Cause I ain't trying to be God, I'm trying to drop a couple of bars. I'm trying to heal a couple of scars, get a couple of lists, attempt to save a couple of bombs. Somebody's gotta live. This is where we gotta live. So reach out and be work with the problem. Somebody's gotta live. This is where we gotta live.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Shout out to my family and friends.